Hello everyone, welcome back to another stream on the channel. Do let me know if you can see and hear me as usual. Again, I'm looking forward to yet another deadline stream. Quickly before we get onto that, let me quickly update the background because we did not see a red arrow last game week. It was indeed a green, so bear with me just a second. Get that updated, change that rank to 420,000 and a green arrow. I hope we're all well. Good to see you, some of you in here nice and early in chat. We got Anish, Vimalan, Ahmed, Roger, Sally, Fruit Plug. Loads of congratulating messages yesterday, lads. I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. Just quickly, before we get on to the FPL, let me take a second to take the opportunity to thank you all. Again, yesterday was my graduation from computer science, and I posted about it, and the response was absolutely amazing. Again, you guys are too kind. The reception on the post was amazing, and just a nice little picture with me and my father. But yeah, really appreciate it, guys. It was a very fun day indeed, and it was a blast. So thank you for all the kind messages. Okay, so I'm gonna wait for this to fill up before I actually talk about my own team. Let me pull up Rob T in the meantime. But hello everyone in chat, do show face. I'm curious to see who we have here early in the morning. Again, I know it's going to be quite competitive in the streams, but I hope we're well, everyone in chat. And leave me... Okay, all the best for future ventures. Thank you, Mr. Chill. And you know what I need to do before we carry on? Let me quickly fix the timer as well, because that is incorrect. If I go to tools, scripts, sorry guys, bear with me. Hour and 20. Okay, deadline is now perfect. Okay, so quickly before we get into my own team, let's do a little roundup on what we can expect for the game week to come. I think it's going to be a fun game week again. We have this game week and the next before the international break. Another international break, I know, absolutely infuriating. Liam, how are you, man? I hope you're well. Not sure I'd make it, but here we are. Very good. But yeah, look how well... Captain Mo. I assume these are the Janny Raiders, is it? Telling me to Captain Mo. I was like, why is everyone telling me to Captain Mo? Thank you if you're joining me from Janny's stream. One of my favourite content creators out there, and my best mate in terms of FPL community. So thank you all for joining me. I hope you enjoy your stay here at FPL Trial. Make it worthwhile, and I'm going to answer all your questions again. Janny has done a better job than I have in terms of going through graphs and stuff, but I'll give you my opinion if you care for it. And welcome to the stream. I'm sure I'm going to see a lot of familiar faces in here. And yes, lads, I'm not going to clickbait you. I will be captaining Mo Salah. So no two ways about it, and I'm excited for it, to be honest. Just quickly on Mo. Again, this is a good way to start the stream, and I'll bring you my team currently. Here are my thoughts on Captain Mo Salah. Again, it sounds bold on paper, but thank you for subscribing, Visser. Just on Mo Salah, for me, what it comes down to is, again, I think it's really, really close on the captaincy this week when we look at Mo Salah in compared to City. So, 2 expected goals for both City and Liverpool. Quite close, in my opinion. Again, 2 home fixtures for the big boys. Salah and Haaland have got rests this game week. And I think there are goals in both of these games, personally. Again, Anfield, of course, a really hard place to go for Villa. And City, who... you know, have always got decent results against Bournemouth. Erling Haaland, who has not done well, particularly versus Bournemouth in previous seasons, but there's definitely something in this game. And 2 outstanding captaincy options this week, for sure. But yeah, thank you for joining me, all the Janny Raiders. I do appreciate you, and thank you for those who are just subscribing. What I'm going to do this stream is, of course, bring you through some of my dilemmas and some of my thoughts, and tell you what I'm thinking and what we can expect going forward into this game week. Good morning, Aldo, Kevin. We got Roland, Keitha, Clinton, Fruit Plug, Rich, Gary, Kyle. Johnny sends us over. Maliki, of course. Maliki is asking, did I tell everyone to subscribe in the ceremony? Unfortunately, I didn't get the opportunity, but any chance I do, I'll be sure to put him in the stream for sure. Sally is asking, start Reinders or King? I would be starting Reinders this game week, ladies and gents. You're thinking of Captain Saka? Yeah, let me know in chat if you're considering going differential with the captaincy this game week. Hello, George, our moderator. We got Offcore, of course, and Germany's after subscribing. Thank you for subscribing. And Medic is saying good morning. Good morning, all. And it's actually it's quite nice to do a stream at 11:30. I don't know how you guys feel about this particular time slot, but on a Saturday it is quite nice. Good morning, Liam. I hope you're well. Yesterday went really well. Thank you for asking. But anyway, what stands out, of course, for me in this graphic is an away fixture for Arsenal at 56% chance of a clean sheet. That is absolutely disgusting. Ask Gianni, but he sent us over to you. Thank you, Mo. Appreciate it. But 56% of a clean sheet, lads, in an away fixture with Burnley, I mean, that has to be one of the highest of all time for an away fixture. Again, Arsenal are probably, without a doubt, the best defence in the world. Whether or not they can keep it up for this season, I'm unsure. But when I see figures like this at 56%, I just wonder why I'm not doubled up on the defence. Thank you, everyone who's after subscribing, and to the 123 of you in here. Cheers. I do appreciate it, lads. It means a lot, and I hope you do enjoy your stay. And another one there from Robinson. We are closing in on 10,000 subscribers, lads. Almost there. 9.1k it is, I believe, now. So you guys are contributing towards that, and I do appreciate it. Anyway, like I was saying, thank you, Beads. Other than the Arsenal fixture, which particularly stands out, what I also see is United 1.61 goals, which is a bit lower than I would have expected it to be personally, because United have been one of the best attacks so far this season. And thank you, Johnny, for subscribing. You know, it is interesting to see. I know Sean Dyche is after coming in and you'd expect him to shore up at the back. But still, regardless, I would expect United to be a small bit higher, in my opinion, with that attack finally starting to click. And again, lads, if you just bear with me for a second, I'll try to get back to as many questions as I can. So bear with me for the time being. And I'm just going to go through this Rob T graphic. Newcastle, who are of course at 1.85, which is very high, considering he's playing against a Nuno Espirito Santos team. Now West Ham have been really poor, don't get me wrong, but even for an away fixture for Newcastle, that is really high numbers. And if I had the likes of a Gordon, I'd be quite hopeful going into this game. Always love your content, Shy. I'm a fellow Spurs fan. Good to hear, Medic. Let me know, chat. This is going to be a good question to start us off. How do you see this Chelsea versus Tottenham game going? Put your predictions in chat. I'm going to say 2-1 Spurs. Again, hopeful as a Spurs fan with no Cole Palmer, but let me know how you see this game going. Of course, the bookies have this going really close. Slightly edging towards Chelsea, the bookies, well, particularly the Rob T graphic, but let me know what you think of that. And great to have you in this beautiful Saturday morning, lads. Let me know what you're up to. Are you drinking tea or coffee? Have you anything planned for the day? George is saying 2-2. Fruit Plug 4-4. Sammy 0-0. Katie says, or Kyle says 3-3. Offcore 2-2. Maliki, of course, saying 4-0. He isn't by any chance a Chelsea fan. Liam says 2-2. This is interesting. Now, what I see from this, and it's exactly what I'm feeling, what a lot of people are saying is that there's going to be goals, and I would agree with that. Good to see FPL Tot, a channel member, of course. Anish says, do you think Chalobah gets benched? I don't think Chalobah will be benched. I think out of the back four, he's most likely to start. Again, that's not a certainty, but that's how I would feel about Chalobah. Again, he's been poor, don't get me wrong. Thank you, Jonas or Jones, for subscribing. VDV or Chalobah, again, that's really close. I'd always favour the home team, personally. 2-2 draw, 1-1. Come on, you Spurs. Sharif, good to see you, Sharif. Lots of familiar faces in chat, lads. Anyway, let's move on to my own team. Again, nothing else stands out from the Rob T graphic. Let me give you a quick debrief where I am with my own team, lads. I'm currently very happy with where I am, first off, in this current stage of the season. Let me run you through my team. On goal, we've got Nick Pope. 3 at the back, I'm actually starting Anderson, Richards and Jurriën Timber, which is different in comparison to what my team selection had, but again, things change. We're always going to change when we got information from the press conferences. 5 in midfield, Eze, Kudus, Salah with the armband, Ismaila Sarr and Enzo. 2 up top in Erling Haaland and João Pedro. 4 on the bench, Dubravka, Mukiele, Rodon and Marquis. 0.1 in the bank. 2 free transfers. off the back of a wildcard 8, 423k in the world with bench boost remaining. Currently, feeling quite confident in general, not only in my own decisions, but with captaining Mo Salah. I had the decision this game week to go from João Pedro to Mateta with the 0.1 in the bank. I opted on not doing it. Now, not because I think João Pedro is particularly a good asset or I think Mateta is a bad one. Mateta is definitely a better asset than João Pedro. But for me, I don't think I needed to force the transfer due to what has happened in the first 8 game weeks. I was more than happy with playing João Pedro with Tottenham away and then the really good run of fixtures that he has. Being patient and using the transfers down the line rather than forcing João Pedro to Mateta, which I think is definitely a great move. But again, not to put a downer on Mateta, I would just say that there is definitely a bit of recency bias with the likes of Mateta. Again, clocking nearly 4 XG in one game. There's bound to be a lot of hype about him. At the end of the day, though, it is a good fixture for João Pedro. Dr. Tottenham always seems to strike. FPL Chicken and Omar says João Pedro will score today. Shout out Omar, of course, channel member. FPL Chicken says, good morning, guys. Back from my 2 weeks in Florida. FPL Chicken, I hope you enjoyed your time in Florida. Let me know how you got on. Hope I didn't miss too much on this channel. I was thinking, Chicken, I haven't seen you in some time. I forgot you had that members badge, but good to see you and welcome back to the stream. You've not missed too much in terms of the deadline streams. Again, we're plodding along nicely. 400k rank, which I'm delighted with. Whole Lekatike, absolutely I would. Anyway, just going back to my own team. I really like the back four of Pope, and Anderson, Richards and Jurriën Timber. Now, of course, the optimal thing to do is have Arsenal, double Arsenal fence. There's only one player in the game that I'm not particularly happy not owning. And his name is not John Cena, it is Daniel Munoz. So I feel like Munoz comes in at probably one of the best assets in the game, if not the best. Now, for anyone who's been listening since the start of the season, you would have heard me rant and rave about Daniel Munoz. For me, what it comes down to is my current squad structure. I've got 4 really good value assets. And how I quantify them, let me quickly bring up Rob T and Solio Analytic graphs. Give you a little taster for what I'm talking about. DEFCON versus expected goals conceded. Okay, I think this is a brilliant way to look at my own team. Probably quite hard to read, and let me make sure it is readable on the stream. It is just about readable. So what this shows us is DEFCON numbers versus expected goals conceded from game weeks 1 to 9 and a minimum of 500 minutes. If you look at some of the assets I own, lads, I've got the likes of a Joe Rodon. I've got Mukiele. I have got Richards, who you can't quite see on this, but I've got Anderson. What this tells you is I've got a lot of value assets. Now, they don't necessarily play for the best defenses, but what they do have is really good DEFCON numbers. Actually, Richards is in there. Let me quickly zoom in so you guys can see that. But I own Joe Rodon, Mukiele, Richards, Anderson, and I'm also owning Jurriën Timber, who's on the right here. So I own a lot of good assets in this graphic. And when I was wildcarding in game week 8, what I spoke about was, okay, I can understand that, okay, as a defense, maybe the likes of a Fulham, Leeds, Newcastle, they definitely are not as good as some of the premium defenses like an Arsenal, for example. I'm going to cover my arse by going with one Arsenal, and I'm going to try pick up as much value in that defense. If you look at some of my picks, Mukiele, 4 million, and he's really high up in this. Joe Rodon, 4 million at the time. We've got, of course, Chris Richards and Anderson, 4.5 million. So sure, they aren't as good as some of the other assets. And yes, shout out to Rob T and Solio Analytics, who do provide these graphs on a week-to-week basis. Great graphics, as always. Vimalan, I will get back to your questions, of course, as usual. Just I want to speak a bit about my own team quickly, and then I'll have lots and lots of time, lads. We do have 2 hours, or an hour and 45 minutes now, to get back to as many questions as possible. But just on my some of my own picks on my own team, very nice to look at a graph like that and see so many, if not all of my players included in it. So it just goes to show that although I don't have probably the most the best defense on the eye. Definitely a very, very valuable defense. And if we look at another graph, again, sorry, I know I'm getting sidetracked here, but if we go to a graph for the keepers, guess who I own in this graph and the one you'd want to own in terms of saves and clean sheet possibilities. It is Nick Pope, which is absolutely phenomenal, of course. So, great to see. I'm going with a lot of value, guys. Again, small sample size from game weeks 1 to 9 so far, but it's what we have. Now, when we look at my midfield, lads, Eze, Kudus, Salah, Sarr, Enzo. It's not as pretty. Personally, again, it could definitely look a lot better, but when you go with the likes of a Mo Salah, again, you're being bold, but he still features on this list. This is def cons versus non-penalty XGI. So if you're on the left, you have good non-penalty XGI. If you're on the right, you're good for def con. I currently own in this list Salah, Eze, Sarr, of course. The other two boys not featuring. When I say the other two boys, I mean Mohamed Kudus, of course. But in general, quite happy. I mean, Sarr and Enzo very, very high on the list, and Salah and Eze. I've opted for the really high non-penalty XGI players. Hopefully they can keep it up, and I feel like Salah is only going to improve from this point in the season. The biggest talking point in my team, again, I know I keep talking about my own team, but I'll get to your questions, and I'm sure you have lots of them. When I look at my own team and the decision to captain Mo Salah over Erling Haaland, again, this is how I often weigh these options up. So for me, this particular game week, there is not much between Salah and Haaland as options as they come. Again, if we look at some of the graphics from Rob T for this particular game week, Mo Salah is expected at 6.9 or 6.4 points. Erling Haaland just about edges him at 6.9. This changes depending on how you value Liverpool, not only as a team but as an attack. For me, they're still the best attack in the league, even though they've been really poor in terms of a result front. But for me, there's enough to go against Haaland this game week. Again, I don't think he's particularly standing out over Haaland, and I think it goes the same way. Haaland is not particularly outshining any of the assets on this list, if it's Bruno Fernandes or Saka or Mo Salah. So I would say this is a week where you can definitely go against the captaincy. Haaland is an amazing asset, and he will be hard to top this game week. I will say that. But if things do swing your way, Haaland only gets the one goal, and let's just say all it takes is Mo Salah is to have a good game and one return, and he's on for 3 bonus. Of course, gets the extra point for a clean sheet if he gets the extra point for the goal. Same with the likes of a Saka or Bruno. So as good as Haaland is, it is still going to be quite close in my opinion. And that's not to say Haaland can't smash the likes of a Salah, Saka and Bruno with his form, but here's something to keep in mind. And if we look at some of the other scores this particular game week, again, sorry for closing the list, but we have the likes of a Mateta who's very, very high on the list, and someone who doesn't feature in the top 15 is, of course, João Pedro, which a lot of people are holding on to, again, because he's been so poor in recent weeks. So just getting back to my own team, good to see Eze also on the list, 5.0, Ajuri and Timber. Mohamed Kudus not on the list, but Enzo doesn't also feature. It is going to be a close game today between Chelsea and Spurs. And by the way, for some reason I thought it was going to land on Sunday. It's 5:30 today. And let me know if you are going to watch it. But going to be a good game, and looking forward to it, of course. So that comes down, or that's the decision on going Salah ahead of Haaland. Again, not much in it. I think they're both great captaincy options for what they're worth. Next is Eze, which would be the one player that I would be looking at getting rid of this particular game week, because he got so many minutes in midweek in the cup. Now, I don't know, and Arsenal fans, let me know in chat how you feel about this. But for me, it is tough to hold on to Eze in this game with Burnley away because of how many minutes he got. And then looking forward to that game versus Slavia Prague, I believe it is on Tuesday. So Saturday, Tuesday, very quick turnaround for Arsenal. With Odegaard being out and with Eze's injury record, would you be surprised to see Eze be dropped in this game? When I say be dropped, again, nothing to do with his quality, but I don't know if I'm 100% certain on him starting this game. And even if he does start, whether or not he gets more than 60 minutes, I'm unsure. Let me know, Arsenal fans, what you think of that. Again, with 2 free transfers, though, I am just wondering, is it worth potentially making a double move of Kudus and Eze out? Kudus, let's speak about Kudus and Tottenham in general. I always speak about Tottenham because, again, they are my own team and I look forward watching us every single week. And every single week I am disappointed. But, you know, I'm also a realistic fan. I know what to expect from Tottenham in this current moment of time. And I think what we are seeing is, again, appreciate all the congratulations, lads. I'm going to get back to chat in just a second after I speak about Mohamed Kudus and Spurs. Where I am with Kudus is, he's after getting a rest midweek. Ideal if you own him as an FPL asset, of course. He looks really, really hungry. Now, what I mean by that is, when you see the likes of an Ekitike come on for Liverpool versus United in Gameweek 8, he comes on and he's just trying to do everything. He's shooting, he's picking up the ball, he's shouting for the ball. What I seen from Mohamed Kudus was similar, but in a different way. He got brutally tackled, might I add, by GW10. By the way, nasty tackle. I don't know how that wasn't a red card. Let me know if you think that was a red card. But what I did see from Kudus is he wants to always make an impact. And he didn't get the minutes versus that game in the Carabao Cup versus Newcastle. So I'm hopeful of 90 minutes with Chelsea at home. I'd be surprised if we don't see 85 plus minutes for Kudus. But also, I feel like this is a brilliant game for Kudus. He'll want to shine. And I don't think Chelsea are particularly good at the back. Thomas Frank in a press conference, I think it was in the embargo section, he was asked about whether or not we're going to sit off versus Chelsea, and he doubled down and said, there's absolutely no way we hold off versus Chelsea. He looked at the Villa game and said, we went and attacked Villa and we pressed them real high. And for the 8 games in the season that we've played, or 9 now, we've always pressed, especially in home games. So I think this is a game with goals. I don't think it is as close as the markets say. I don't see a 1-1 draw, but I do think it will be close. The next question is he worth the 6.8 million you currently pay for him? He is what? Chelsea at home, United at home, Arsenal away. That's another question. And I can understand if you look at an Enzo or a Minta and go, there's much more value elsewhere. For me, what it comes down to, though, is he's the main man for Spurs. And there is no doubt about that. What I did see in this Newcastle game again, there were flashes of Xavi, I have to say. As I don't think he was particularly good. I think if his name was Brennan Johnson, you know, we wouldn't be talking about him. But because the expectations are there for the likes of a Xavi, I feel like we talk about it. So he wasn't particularly standing out, but I did think he had a decent enough game and there were sparks. Kolo Muani looked like he could be the one. And again, he didn't do anything particular that stood out. It's just the pockets he's coming in at and the little flashes that he's showing. Picking up the ball and running with it. I love that. And it tells me what we can see from a player going forward. Anyway, that's enough on Spurs. Again, my prediction is 2-1 Tottenham v Chelsea. Tottenham have been quite good in the league. We're yet to see it in home games. I think we've been quite pragmatic. In these home games versus the big teams, I think we can see results. Anyway, that's it on Spurs. Let me get to some of your questions. And I know you guys have been spamming the chat since you've joined. And thank you to the 150 that are in here. Bear with me. I'm sorry I've not answered your questions. But let's start answering some questions and stop talking about me. Sally asks, start Rodon or Diouf? And Duke, put your question in chat. I'm going to try to answer as many as possible. Start Rodon or Diouf? For me, I'll be starting Rodon. Again, DEFCON, Leeds, very good form. I do expect Leeds to concede, but I won't be playing Diouf, I don't think. Hey, Shai, congrats on the graduation. Thoughts on Saka and DIG in for Kudus, Reinders and Pedro, 3 free transfers. Those 3 moves are definitely good, Sophus. I would make them. Also, though, I would be hesitant on getting rid of those 3 this particular game week. I think it could go either way. But yeah, I do like those moves. Gary says, more than Choi on a wildcard, Dango Welbeck or Thiago Minta. Thiago Minta without a doubt. Ez's minutes are more because Martinelli is out. Yeah, I suppose, but Trossard has been getting in that team, so I don't know. Clinton says, I have Pedro, Enzo and Chalobah. Don't know what to do with 2 transfers. Value going down. I'm holding on to Pedro, Enzo. Chalobah, on the other hand, probably not worth it, but not a bad hold. With the fixtures to come. George says he's torn between Haaland, Saka and Timber captain. I don't know, if I if I was down to Haaland, Saka and Timber, I'm unsure how I feel on 80 plus minutes on Saka. So therefore, I would default on Haaland. ZJ says, hey, I'm starting Munoz, Gabriel and Mukiele. I have Anderson on the bench. Should I switch him for one of those players? What I would say is on Anderson is if he's going to play, he's going to start. And I can't imagine he gets brought on off the bench. So I'd be hopeful on starting Anderson. Clinton says, I've already answered that. What do you think about Iwobi? He's one that I've looked at, not because he's been particularly good, but the fixtures do turn, and we know Iwobi can pick up big holes in some of the easier fixtures. JC says, congrats on the graduation. Quick one, João Pedro for Mateta or Volamade? I'd go Mateta without doubt. Mateta is definitely the second best striker in the game at this current point in time with how good the fixtures are for Palace. Start VVD, Xavi Simons or James, help. I would start Xavi Simons again, chasing the upside. Or, no, Virgil van Dijk. Sorry, I read that as VDV. I would play Virgil van Dijk. I brought in Thiago, Minza and Munoz for today. Brilliant. Love that ISO magic. What are you planning? When are you planning on bench boosting? And is it this week? I will not be bench boosting this particular game week. When we talk about bench boost, this is what I was thinking. I've always been thinking this since my wildcard 8. What I'm thinking for bench boost is in game week 15, I'll have a lot of transfers built up, I imagine. In game week 16, I'll have to have them used as we get the AFCON transfers, as you know. So I'll have plenty of transfers to use to set up my team for a bench boost. Bring up the likes of a Mark Gee, whose minutes won't be as good. Bring down a Mo Salah and potentially bring in an Isaac or Ekitike, depending on how that looks going forward. So other options will arise in terms of value ones. Maybe it'll be a point in the season where we might start talking about Morgan Rogers. But I'm confident that in between game week 15, 16, 17 and 18, that there'll be more than enough time for me to set up a bench boost. Saka or Gabriel as captain. If I was to choose between the two, it would be Saka. Not because Gabriel is a bad option, but more so is you never know. Again, I know he's been a monster from set pieces and attacking threat, but if you're Burnley, in particular, you're looking at this Arsenal team and you're going, how can we stop them on set pieces? You would have had a whole week to prepare for. So you can't rely on Gabriel is what I'm saying, even though he's been great from an attacking front. Start Burn or Enzo? I'd be starting Enzo. Thank you, Sharp, and welcome to a cup of chai. Sharp, you've been in the streams for a while now, and on a weekly basis you are supporting. Do send me on your phone number and I'll get you involved in the WhatsApp group, but really appreciate you, Sharp, for becoming a member. And for anyone else who wants to get a bit closer in my own community, again, we're edging towards 10k subscribers, and I've no doubt, lads, that this channel is going to grow with the amount of support that you guys show. Absolutely phenomenal support. And if you aren't already subscribed, do hit the subscribe button, and also like while you're there for the 200 that are in here. I do appreciate it. Sharp, any question? Again, you never left a comment while you did become a member, but appreciate it, and do DM me your phone number so I can get you added. Who still owns Virgil van Dijk? You know what, lads? And for anyone that owns Van Dijk, what I would say is I think Van Dijk is a really, really good hold. One of the best this season so far for DEFCON, and Liverpool can only get better. That's what I would say, and the fixtures are turning for Liverpool, so keep an eye out. Sharp says, appreciate you, sir. Keep up the great work. Thank you so much. Cactus Jack says, congrats on the graduation, mate. Good to be back again. It's been a while. Work's been hectic. Great to see you, Cactus Jack. You're one that I don't know how you're not a member. You're one that seems to donate every single stream. Become a member and I can get you added in the WhatsApp group. Again, you don't have to do it. It's just another way to support the channel rather than sending donations on a weekly basis. And we can keep in close contact. But yeah, do appreciate the support, lads. Lads, what I would say is I'm in a bench dilemma this particular game week with Richards, Anderson and Mukiele, of course. What my current thought process is, I think that Everton definitely get a goal away to Sunderland, as good as Sunderland have been. Mukiele is great for the DEFCON and he is playing right back and he could easily hurt me, but I still think that, you know, Everton away, hard game for Sunderland, of course. Thoughts on Minta captain? I don't love that ISO magic. I just don't know if he provides the goal threat I would want. That's just me though.
Munoz versus Calafiori this WK. Thoughts, Timber captain?
Thank you, Rafa, for the super chat. Again, appreciate the support. But I would become a member rather than sending a super chat because you can add a comment to that as well. And it's probably about the same price. But thank you so much, Rafa. To answer your question, he says, Munoz versus Calafiori this game week. Thoughts on Timber captain? Munoz versus Calafiori, I don't think there's much in it. And the reason I say this is because as much as Calafiori can have a lot of attack and threat going into these games, Munoz is a different level in terms of attack and threat. When I see Munoz bombing up the line versus Arsenal, that's when I know that he's going to be doing it week in, week out. Calafiori, again, I'm not trying to scaremonger, lads. But with Burnley away, again, I think the minutes will be somewhat decent for most players. But I wouldn't be surprised to see early subs from a Timber, Calafiori, with Lewis Skelly in there, Ben White back from injury. Therefore, I'm not exactly sold with the game on Slavia Prague on Tuesday. Again, I'm just trying to look on what's realistic for these Arsenal assets. You know, 56% clean sheet odds this game week. Absolutely phenomenal. But when we go with a captaincy on the likes of a Calafiori, Timber, a Gabriel, what we're looking for is clean sheet odds and attack and threat. Not quite there in terms of attack and threat and minutes for Calafiori, for me. Again, he's showed good numbers, but Munoz versus Calafiori, I'm going to say Daniel Munoz for the minutes because how good he's been this season for minutes. And also, even during the congestion, Glasner has shown not to rotate Munoz. So that's not to say it can't happen, but I feel like Munoz will get better minutes than Calafiori in the weeks to come. And the fixtures are great from Munoz and great attack and threat. Timber captain, don't love it, don't hate it. That's how I'm going to put it to you. Would I do it? No. I think Haaland and Salah are better options. And even Saka is probably on the same level, in my opinion. Spacine says Chelsea in the Premier League this season.
Congrats on your graduation. Party face emoji, UTV, winking face emoji, lion emoji, purple heart emoji, blue heart emoji, sorry.
Sharp, you are too good. Thank you for the super chat. And yes, thank you so much for everyone who's given the shout outs for the graduation. Again, had an amazing time and you guys were so supporting of it. So really, really appreciate it, Sharp. And yeah, up the villa. Up the villa. I hope you don't get the results this particular week versus Liverpool because I'm going with Salah captain, but best of luck this game week. For sure, and thank you for supporting the channel. Where was I? Sorry. Really appreciate the super chat. She says, not happy with Kudus recently, debating starting Xhaka over him. Yeah, I can understand the frustration with Kudus, don't get me wrong, but in this particular game week, as they come, again, I always take the game weeks as they come, I would be starting Kudus all day. Reese Clay says, bench one of Mukiele, Anderson, Reinders, Roden, pick 2. I'll be benching Mukiele and Roden. Anyway, going back to Spacine's comment. He says, Chelsea in the Premier League this season, 6.10 expected goals conceded from set pieces. First, 45% XG conceded from set pieces. First, 39% of shots conceded come from set pieces. Second. Wow, that is an interesting stat, Spacine, for sure. Where was I? Sorry, I know I keep getting sidetracked. Hi Chai says, Maximilian. Hello, Maximilian. Channel members, of course. Shout out to all the channel members. Liam says, what's the feel if Glasner is going to rotate a defence a bit? He usually goes for Sosa for Mitchell, or Canva for Richards. Exactly. Never benches Munoz. Now, that's not to say it can't happen, but I feel like it will inevitably happen with the congestion that Crystal Palace have. But in the meantime, I think he's safe. Anderson or Cash on a wildcard. You know, Cash is one that has a special place in my heart since I brought him in and he of course got his goal. On wildcard though, again, speaking about value, if Anderson is fit, I'd be going Anderson. Great fixtures to come. João Pedro to Krupi and Paqueta to Mbeumo or João Pedro to Volumade. What would you do? Thanks and congrats on the graduation. Thank you, Siloin. João Pedro to Krupi and Paqueta to Mateta. Paqueta to Mbeumo or João Pedro to Volumade. I would be more than happy to hold on to João Pedro. That's what I'd say, Cillian. I'm not going to tell you what to do. Start King or Reinders? I would start Reinders this game week. Would you captain Gakpo, Bruno or Ekitike? Sorry, guys. Out of those selections, I'd go Bruno because of the roots of points. Clinton says, can't reach Mateta. What are the best João Pedro replacements? I wouldn't replace João Pedro in that situation if you can't get to Mateta. I can understand if you want to do Pedro to Mateta, but As long as Pedro's getting the minutes for me, and Delap, of course, is going to miss this game versus Tottenham with a suspension in midweek, I'd be happy to hold on to Pedro. Willis says, you the man. Thank you, Willis. John Hayes says, afternoon, Chai. Good luck this game week. Thank you, John. Would you bench Semenyo, Enzo, or Minta? Says Maximilian. Out of those three, I would be benching Semenyo. And it's hard to bench someone on penalties, but you got to play the fixtures in my eyes. Van de Ven or Mukiele? Mukiele. Again, I wouldn't be blinded by last week's events. Omara says, congratulations on the graduation once again. The FPL differential GOAT. Thank you, Omara. So many kind messages, lads. Whether that's from the members, from the YouTube, or on Twitter. Again, so kind of you guys for popping in and congratulating me. It means a lot. Captaining Gyökeres versus Burnley is never, ever an insane shout. I do have Salah and Haaland, though. Yeah, so Salah and Haaland are probably better options. So I wouldn't be putting it on Gyökeres personally. Reinders or Sar all day. Change Donnarumma for Pope or Rhea. For what it's worth, I think Donnarumma is a decent hold. You know, if I had him. Unless you're looking to get money out, I would go to Pope. Rodgers or Caicedo to start. I'd be starting Caicedo. He's definitely going to get DEFCON versus Spurs. Pick 2 on wildcard and DI, Pedro, Volamade, Enzo, Thiago. On wildcard, I would be going Illimani and DI, and I would also be going Enzo, I want to say. Hard to look past Pedro and Thiago, to be honest, but that's what I'd do. Ahmed says, thoughts on Triple Palace? I love it. Personally, I do love it. 3 great options that always are going to create, be good at DEFCON, or be an attacking threat. I love the way people come in my chat and just copy and paste their last comment to whoever they're talking to. Hey Andy, should I do João Pedro to Mateta if I have Sarr and Richards already? It wouldn't put me off tripling up. Yeah, and it is not too much. It never is too much, especially if you consider the fact that they could have they have a great fixture on. Hi Choi AI, whom to start between Mukiele or Senesi or Krupi? Again, I would be inclined to start Mukiele in that case. Thoughts on Ndiaye or Richarlison to Mbeumo and Krupi, or Dewsbury, Hall and Richarlison to King and Sesko? Which is better? I would definitely get rid of Richarlison. I do like Ndiaye, Richarlison to Mbeumo and sorry, I know I was waiting for the chat to speech or text to speech to come through. Thank you, Medic Ant, who's become a cup of chai. Do drop me your phone number. DM me on WhatsApp, or DM me on Twitter, or sorry, why can't I think, lads? Twitter or Instagram. I've left an Instagram link. By the way, do follow my Instagram. It is a new Instagram account if you're wondering why it has very little followers, but in my last video I provided a link to my Instagram. And George will get you sorted. If not, DM me on the Instagram link, and do follow anyone who's not followed me on Instagram. I'm thinking about creating some content. And the more numbers that we get on the Instagram, the more I'll be motivated to make content. I want to get at least 100 or 200 followers maybe on the Instagram account before I make any content, and that way I'll be motivated to make the content, because then I know there's at least 200 of you guys who will see it on a weekly basis. But yeah, thank you Medic Ant for becoming a cup of chai. Do drop your phone number in, and again, just a nice way to support me and a nice little tight knit community. I've been loving the members chat recently. Again, I'm not trying to advertise it, because you do not need to be sending your money to me on a weekly basis. It's just a nice way to support me. But recently I've been putting in what I'm doing with my team early, been putting in questions constantly and asking what you guys think and getting feedback from you guys. So really appreciate it, guys, and much love. Thank you for support. Magic, I didn't know you weren't in the WhatsApp. Do send me your number for sure. And if you aren't subscribed to me or following me on Twitter, do follow me at FPL Chai on Twitter. Just after hitting 25k followers. But yeah, anyway, let me get back to your questions. Should I swap Richards for Minoz? I wouldn't, unless you are absolutely spoiled for choice. I think Richards comes in at great value. If I could do it in one move, I would, if I had money in the bank. Henry, can you tell me this? Again, I don't follow Scottish football, but Why is it that Celtic and Rangers play almost every single week? I feel like that derby is on every week. Again, let me know if I'm wrong or it just happens to be that a coincidence when I check that it happens. But Liam says, have you considered making YouTube shorts? See a lot of other content creators doing it. Liam, I have considered it. My issue is I don't have someone to edit them, or I don't know how to edit them. I've not unlocked them yet in my mind on how to do it. I would love to do it, and I do think they would do quite well for numerous amount of reasons. First reason being I am a bit younger, so I think I'd hit a niche. Second reason, I'm Asian with an Irish accent. I think it's quite interesting. And the third reason, I know what works. From being on TikTok myself, again, I watch a lot of content, consume it. I know what people are thinking or feeling. I feel like I could hit the algorithm running and do very well on the likes of a TikTok or Instagram. But yeah, sorry, I can't speak. Liam, I am considering it. And do follow the Instagram, lads. It is FPL Choi on Instagram. Has 5 followers, I believe. So let me actually get the link for you guys while we're here. But let me continue speaking while I bring up the Instagram account. What was I saying? Yeah, just going back to some of your dilemmas. It is tight this week on some of the benching dilemmas. I don't necessarily think there is a right answer. And by the way, here's the Instagram account for anyone who's interested. And if you want to follow my personal account, again, not that I post on it. Actually, no, we're not going to link the personal account. Just follow the FPL one for now. And if you guys want more, do DM me. And if you're interested about my own life, I'm always happy to share. Anyway, sorry. Start Reece James or Anderson. I'd be starting Anderson without a doubt. Reece James can come up with a good game against Tottenham for sure, but Anderson, if he's starting, he's great with this Wolves fixture and they've been struggling. Do you think Burn and Bruno G? How do you think about Burn or Bruno G? Burn is a great asset. Bruno G, I'd be unsure of. Ammon says, on for hit, would you go Haaland and Minta or Welbeck and Salah? So, this is an interesting question. And this is why I feel so inclined to captain Salah. If you own Mo Salah, I feel like you almost have to captain this game. There's not much in captaincy this game week for me. Got a rest midweek. Shouldn't be any doubts about his minutes. If you're on free hit, you also go Salah, surely. Again, decent fixture, why not? So to answer your question, I would go both Haaland and Salah for what it's worth. If I had to choose between Haaland and Minta or Welbeck and Salah, I would go Welbeck and Salah. Semenyo or João Pedro? To start, that's a tough question. João Pedro, probably. By the way, lads, what I think is definitely going underneath the radar a small bit, and I think this needs to be a talking point. You know, often in FPL, when things go against us, and I think particularly when we speak about content creators in general, and this goes for the bandwagon on Reinders at the start of the season, Semenyo now, not to say that he can't return versus Semenyo, but just saying, it's not being talked about. Any applause for me not going Semenyo from Wildcard 8. I know he did get an assist in Wildcard 9, but I showed you guys that it is possible to not go with the necessarily obvious ones. He was definitely outperforming a small bit. But now we're seeing it from João Pedro. Sorry, just a comment that's after catching me off guard. Haha, he says, damn, the guy is very self-aware, it's intelligent. What do you mean by that? I want you to elaborate quickly before I carry on. I'm curious. What was I saying? João Pedro, because he's not being talked about, I still think because Enzo is quite giving on the penalties, if he plays this game and Chelsea get a penalty, I think it is very, very, very likely, with Pedro's confidence being out the gutter, that Enzo gives him the ball. Now, you heard it here first if it does happen, and I could look like a fool if it doesn't happen and Pedro blanks again and Mateta scores a hat-trick, but it's just my current thoughts, and I feel like it's not being talked about because everyone wants to sell Pedro. And do hit the like button, guys. Let's try to get the like goal to 200. Gary says, hello Gary, hope you're well, long time no see. He says, own Kudus since the start, and I'm on the fence about dropping him for the upcoming fixtures. Several tough games in a row, and Spurs aren't exactly popping off offensively. Correct, and I can't look past that. I would largely agree with that. What I would say is, I still think it's a value point of view for me. Chelsea at home and United at home, as tough fixtures as they can be, there's goals in them. There's definitely goals in them. But yeah, after United, I say I would definitely monitor Kudus, and I think you're right. I blame Batici for the Reinders bandwagon. Yeah, the Italian stallion looking at an AC Milan asset. Of course, he was going to hype him up, and I mean, he did look like the best player in the world in Gameweek 1. In fairness, did I miss news? Is Anderson starting? So we got a quote from Silva saying he's definitely going to be involved. Enzo is an egomaniac. I don't know, Henry. As much as he's an egomaniac, he's more than happy to give up the ball for penalties. Saka plus Diouf to Eze plus Gabriel. Okay, just quickly, for those of you who are feeling like you're not getting your questions answered. Billy has put in the best way to get your question answered. He put in capital Saka plus Diouf, and then an arrow to Eze plus Gabriel. It makes them really, really easy to answer when I'm looking through chat, lads. Just if you want to get it answered. Saka plus Diouf to Eze and Gabriel. Absolutely no. You cannot sell Saka, I don't think. That's not to say Eze and Gabriel will do well, but I just couldn't be selling Saka. If Pedro scores, I riot. Again, Dr. Tottenham does exist. Sanchez to Pope for -4. No, I wouldn't be doing it. So to be clear, you do not tread João Pedro the same as people did with Wirtz. I do not treat Roland. Yeah, I don't treat the same at all, because the fixtures are there for Pedro. Same with Wirtz. The fixtures are there for Wirtz come game week 12. And now he comes in at a bit of a cheaper price, where I do think he'll emerge as an asset. That's actually an interesting thing about Wirtz, and I want to talk about it. He is showing glimpses, I have to say. Not that he's been particularly good, but Liverpool can't be any worse. Wirtz is starting to get consistent game time, and he's looked good. Yes, you mean plus. You plus me and Arrow like plus this? Yes, Gary, exactly. Reinders to Sarr or save the transfer. Reinders to Sarr without a doubt. Keane or Richards? This game week, Richards. FPL Review has Keane scoring 0.4 more. Is that because there's doubts about Richards playing? Yes, Rodriguez, I would say so. Rodriguez, I do look at this on a week-to-week basis. The expected points from a review, Solo Analytics. I am well aware of these. What I would say is, the difference of 0.4 is practically nothing. And it probably comes down to the fixture. Not particularly because of the player. Team strength on Everton and Palace. So, very little in that. Start Mukiele or Paqueta, says Yusuf. West Ham have looked that poor. I probably would just play Mukiele. Got my study break to ask you Bruno, Gyökeres or Semenyo for a differential captaincy. If I had to choose, it would be Bruno. Bench Alderete or Romero. I would bench Alderete. Bullet header incoming for Romero. Saka Hall tonight, everyone? Hopefully not. I don't own him. Everyone needs to be prepared for the return of Palmer. Yeah, I'm interested to see how that will affect Chelsea. Who would you start, Caicedo or Mukiele? Mukiele. I don't know about you, but I'm like convinced Eze going to get a rest, and I sold him yesterday for Saka. Yeah, Hunk, if you could get to a Saka, I do like it. I'm not overly convinced on Eze, especially with Odegaard expected to come back after the international break. No Saka wildcard, triple Arsenal offence plus Bruno. I'm not sold on the triple Arsenal offence as of yet. It is very, very nice, don't get me wrong, but still feel like with potential reduced minutes, I don't love it. Time to develop an anti-spam bot. It is what it is. I understand if people are frustrated with not getting their question answered. Kudus or Bone, who to start? Kudus, man. Better fixture. Gabriel captain, don't love it, Samson. Bench Semenyo or Pedro? I would bench Semenyo. What are the plans? I plan on rolling this game week. Kudus or Bone, who to start? I would start Kudus. Xhaka or Roden to start? I would start Xhaka. Lacroix, VDV, Gyökeres to Minoz, Anderson, Mateta -4. Those are great moves. You're going from, particularly expensive assets to more value. Is it worth -4 this particular game week because Gyökeres plays against Burnley. I would hold off this game week, Ahmed. Although those are good transfers for sure. João Pedro or Rodon? Whom to start? João Pedro. I'm always inclined to play the attacker. Kudus to start for a -4? Absolutely not. Just tuned in. Why captain on Salah and not Haaland? Again, I think it's very close this game week. 2 rests for both of them. And I think it's a good fixture for Liverpool. One thing I need to check is when's Liverpool's next game after Villa. Let's go on FootMob. Quickly pull up FootMob. Let's do Liverpool. All matches. Madrid on Tuesday. Saturday, Tuesday turnaround. Ooh, at least it's at home though. I think at home would give me much more confidence in minutes. Do you know, if it was away at Madrid, different story. Nothing too much to worry about there. I just wanted to check that, guys. Sorry. Who to sell, João Pedro now or game week 13? Matty, I'm holding on to João Pedro. Unless he starts getting reduced minutes. Do you think Mbeumo or Sarr in? If I could choose, it would be Mbeumo, but again, different value assets, so it's not a fair comparison. People are saying they need to see a personal account. I can definitely set that up for sure. If you're interested in my own life. I don't know why you would be interested. There's nothing special to see around here, but I'd be inclined to do it for sure. Congrats once again on graduation. Start Thiago or Enzo? I would be starting Enzo. Reinders or Van de Ven? Reinders. For me. Again, not much in that one, but I would go Reinders. 2 seconds, guys. I'm just checking something. Close that. Let me bring that out. You can still see my screen. Great. Lads, okay. What do you think of my team? Like, again, I always want to go back to chat because, again, this is why we're here. You know, as much as I can advise people, I always take into account what people's other opinions are, whether or not I agree with them or not. So, what do you think of my team? Be critical. What don't you like? And what do you think you do like? Now, I play with a lot of risk, so I do understand if you don't like it for the majority. But this particular game week, if you were to make a move, what would you do? Kudus out, Eze out. Get rid of Salah for Saka. You know, I can understand them. The models would tell me to get rid of Salah. Bench Richards or Antoine Semenyo. I would bench Semenyo. It's hard to bench Semenyo in that case, but if Richards starts and he gets... Okay, no, actually, I'm wrong. As much as I think Richards will do really well this game week, I would probably still play Semenyo. And the reason for that is because, you know, he's on penalties. It's hard, though. Ignoring the 14.5 elephant in the room. 14.4 now. I would get João Pedro for Mateta. I can't afford it, lads. 0.1 in the bank, 2 million. Because I think Salah is much better asset than Pedro for this particular game week. That's why I wouldn't captain Pedro. Man United asset is quite nice. Good for long term, I agree. Have to say João Pedro to Jean-Philippe Mateta as I made that move. Fair. You need Brian Mbeumo. Captain Eze, thank you for subscribing, Mohammed. Appreciate it. JM, hello. Would you sell Van de Ven to Minoz in a heartbeat? Your team is good. Need more free transfers? I agree, Maximilian. That's where I am. Troy, what's the background story with being a Spurs fan? Interesting question, IsoMagic. So the reason I am a Spurs fan is my granddad. Again, I have... So, again, more context for me. A bit more about my life. This is a bit of a story time, so sorry if this is non-FPL related. But bear with me. It's an interesting story. First off, I've got a white side of my family and an Asian side of my family. So for anyone who's left nasty comments or been nasty in my past life, has largely not affected me because being different, I've always embraced. You know, being Asian in Ireland, as you can imagine, has its pros and cons. And I've also got Asian family. So my granddad, when I say my granddad, he's not actually biologically my granddad. But he grew up in London because his father was in the Navy and the Army. He grew up in London, and his brother, he is a younger brother, he supported Arsenal. So what did my granddad do? He supported Tottenham. And of course they were in the heart of London, so particularly Tottenham area. So my granddad said, okay, basically, feck you, I'm going to support Tottenham, you're going to support Arsenal, and this is going to be our little rivalry. He has a son who is my brother. Again, not biological, but he's my brother at heart because I've lived with him my whole life. And he basically, I was raised very close to him. And that's why I'm a Spurs fan, because my brother's a Spurs fan. That's usually how it works. If your dad supports Spurs or your brother supports Spurs, largely you're going to support the same team. But yeah, there's actually a reason why I support Spurs. It's funny because a lot of people think, oh, you're Asian, that's why you support Spurs, because Youngman's son. And I'm like, you actually couldn't be further from the truth. And Harry Kane is actually my favourite Spurs player. It's not even son, like, so. My daughters are requesting you to sing a song. What's your go-to karaoke song? I feel tough. Why are they requesting me to sing a song, and how old are they? Interesting. But yeah, interesting story. Where I was going with that was, yeah, it's funny. There are a few comments every now and then about the likes of, me being Asian. It's funny though, because it's like, it's the equivalent of me saying that to a white fella or a black fella, or no effect in saying any racism to me. It's funny. So if you want to be racist, go for it. But where I do step in, and I often bring it up, and it's why I don't like it, is there are people who I know, maybe family members or people who are a bit more timid, who are affected by racism. Again, this is not going to be a speech about how you shouldn't be racist. I'm not going to tell you what to do. It's just, obviously there's no place for it. But it really does kind of upset me seeing, people who are either close to me or other Asian people who, are looked down upon for being different. So always have us Asians in mind, lads. Again, it's quite rare you have an Asian with an Irish speaking accent. So I don't really fall underneath that category, but it is hard if you look at it from a social aspect, if you are different and, you live in a family with one Asian parent or two Asian parents, and you're not exposed to a lot of communities, because it's just not really an Asian parent's style to get you involved in the likes of playing soccer for a local team, for example, or in Ireland, hurling or whatever. So keep us in mind. Up the Asians, absolutely. Come on, you Asians. Koya. Do you speak other languages? I don't, unfortunately, but I can understand a good amount of... When I say understand, my parents would often mix words in English and in Cantonese and also Mandarin. So no, I cannot speak it, but I understand bits and pieces. Say what you got to say, bro. You got a platform. Yeah, unfortunately enough, I can say what I want, and I have people who are more than happy to listen to me. So again, couldn't be possible without you guys, but appreciate it. There's only 6 and 2. No idea why they're asking, but must be the Irish tone. Okay, you get me. Okay, I'm not gonna sing a song on stream because I would absolutely hurt your ears. But shout out to your 2 kids. Absolutely love that. I have great memories of my granddad taking me to Wembley for the '91 FA Cup semi-final. 2 awesome games. Wow, that's amazing, Medic. Can you not speak Irish? Well, so in Ireland, it is not actually our first language. It is our second language. We learn it in school, the equivalent of how you might learn a German or French, maybe in the UK. Yes, I can speak bits and pieces of Irish. Conistatu to Omega Ma. Omul Cadagum Dulgadi on Letters. Hello, how are you? Can I go to the toilet? Yes. So I can understand it better than I can speak it. It's been years. It's been 5 years since I've had to speak or even listen to any Irish. But yes, I can. And to be honest, actually not too bad at Irish. I've always liked it. Coffee or Irish coffee? Coffee or Irish coffee? Coffee all day. I'm an I can't speak. Americano man. Couple of folk. But yeah, let me know if you can speak Irish in chat. And I'm actually curious. Do we have many Irish people in here? Thank you for subscribing, Orlando. Okay, let's get back to the FPL, lads. Sorry for getting sidetracked. I know a lot of people are interested, though, because it is interesting. Again, you guys come in here week in, week out, and you've no clue who I actually am. You just know that I'm somewhat listenable from an FPL point of view. So thank you again for joining me. And do follow the Instagram account, lads. Again, I'm going to put it back in chat because I want you guys to get it going, because I'm thinking about making short form content. Again, here's the link. FPL Choi on Instagram. Sorry, that link is busted. But yeah, do follow the Instagram account. And once we get to a certain number, I will make the shorts. To all Irish people could speak Irish. Learn something new. Absolutely. There are very, very little people here in Ireland, unless you're from the likes of a ring. I am a Paddy. Good to see you, John. Good stuff. Netherlands and house. Yeah, lads, drop it in chat where you're from. I'm curious to see if we can. Johnny's also Irish. Wales says Henry. Yeah, let me know in chat where in Ireland you're from, if you are from Ireland, and if you're watching elsewhere, where from. You know, it's funny because if we look at some of the most engaged communities in FPL in terms of nationalities, of course you have England and Ireland, which are very, very close to the top. Then you have the likes of Malaysia, which are very, very high. India, of course. Portugal says Jose. Roland is Dutch. Poland, the UK says Franok. Greek, Australian. Mustafa says, is Enzo a must transfer? I wouldn't say a must transfer. Copenhagen's fruit plug. Love that. I've been good. South Africa. Love that. Genre. Ivor is Norway. Up the Irish. Palestine says Rahaf. Very good. Dubai, Ahmed. Singapore. Yeah, I have an auntie from Singapore. Very interesting. Palestine says Zaina. Antarctica says Uda. Lebanon, Norway says Christian. Cork. Love that. Oh, so Galway. I'm actually going to Galway on Wednesday, the Flashish Gamer. I might be staying up there in the Dean. Let me know if you're around. Maximilian says Poland. Selene. Also, Johnny is from the United States. Kildare. I was only in Kildare last week, Kit. Burger says Malaysia. Love that. Sudan. Cactus Shack. Wales. Love that, lads. Shout out everyone. Load of nationalities in there. I love the mix of nationalities, lads, because, like, I mean, we all have different backgrounds and different stories. It's so interesting. Like, I wish I could hear all of your stories. Again, we only have 2 hours for deadline streams, and I wouldn't want to bore you guys in terms of, you know, saying too much about my personal life, but amazing, lads. Yeah, it's a lovely spot. Enjoy yourself. Thank you. Appreciate it. Croatia. Lads, there was one point in time where I actually got noticed in Croatia. I was in Split, where my boy Vuskovic played for at the time, and a taxi driver actually recognized me, and we got a picture together. Such a cool thing. Indian born, Durban, South Africa. Love that. Australian, good day. Amazing. Okay, sorry lads, I know I keep getting sidetracked. Let's get back to the FPL, and do throw in your FPL questions. I want to try answer as many as possible for you guys. Again, we have an hour remaining on the stream. It's been a very enjoyable stream so far, and thank you guys for joining me. Let's get the like goal over 200, and if you aren't already subscribed, do hit the subscribe button. I hope you've been liking the consistency on the channel, and we're almost on 10k. Like Cactus Jack says, when you reach 10k, you should do a Q&A for the channel. I think we should do exactly that, Cactus Jack. I might stream for 3.5 hours. The first section can be FPL and Q&A, and it'll give you guys an opportunity to get to know me, 1, a bit better, and 2, I get to know you guys a bit better. So if you do want to get to know me a bit better, I do share my personal life a bit more in the members group chat. Again, you don't have to do it. Again, it's just a nice way for you to get involved in the community. But yeah, love that, lads. And very nice words. Hajduk Split. Very nice place, lads, Hajduk Split. Do you always play 3-5-2? No, not necessarily. It's just I don't think I could play a 4-4-2 this game week. Bench Enzo, Gordon, DCL or Semenyo? I think it has to be DCL. Richard Simoneau's this game week and bench Enzo or Krupi. I would bench Krupi. If I were to do Richard Simoneau's this game week, yeah, I like the move if you can do it in one. I don't think it's a must do. Abdi says he loves the transfer, or loves the content. Thank you. Just on short form content, lads, again, for anyone who's after following the Instagram account, what would you like to see? because I would love to make good content for you guys. Not only because I know you guys don't always have the time to be, looking at the deadline streams for 2 hours, and I know I mightn't always get to your questions, but or you don't have the time to look at my team selection or transfer plans video. So, if I could make a 30-second video where it would capture a lot of your questions, that'd be great. So I would love to get the Instagram shorts out, and also YouTube shorts, Instagram reels, and TikToks out for you guys. Let me know what you think. I also think they do well. FPL tips for each game week. When you say tips though, as in best players to buy, best players to sell, don't do this, here's what's coming, let me know. I genuinely think, yeah lads, do hit the like button, we're almost on 100 likes. I think I could do really well on short form content. I think I just hit, when I look, again, not to compare, comparisons to Tifa Joy and everyone has their pros and cons, but because I'm that bit younger, I think I hit a different audience, and I think that's why the short form content could do well. What moves would you do? Shalaba to Anderson or Roden to Mukiele? Shalaba to Anderson or Roden to Mukiele? I would definitely do Shalaba to Anderson, Harry. Shorts is better for brain rot. Absolutely, Judge. Semenyo on wild or go against for 2 weeks. If you plan on bringing him in for 2 weeks, I would just bring him in now. YouTube shorts. Weekly roundups tend to do well. Yeah, we could do a weekly roundup in the shorts, because then I wouldn't have to make, not that this is an issue, but making a 25 half-an-hour video a day before the deadline about a weekly roundup, which is not my style, is very, very competitive in comparison to a Harry, a Raptor, or Let's Talk FPL, which of course I'm competing with at the end of the day. By the way, shout out all those guys. Just to buy, avoid captaincy, yeah, we can do that. If any of you guys know anyone, or you are someone who could edit shorts, do let me know. I'm looking for someone, because I don't think I could necessarily put in the time or quality that I'd be looking for that, because if I'm going to do it, I want to do it properly. If you look at the TikToks from Let's Talk or Harry, they do really well. Vlog? Who knows, guys? Maybe when we become a bit bigger, we could do vlogs. Bench 2 of Kudus, Diaz, or Jimenez. I would bench... Who do Fulham play this week? Fulham play against Wolves. I would definitely bench Diaz. Not willingly, but out of those three, I would bench Diaz. Van de Ven to Chow or Anderson? I think Anderson is still the best value. Still think that. Mohammed says 2 free transfers. Kudus to a 4.4 mid plus Guy to Mateta, or Kudus to Sar plus Tarkovsky to Minoz. Sar plus Tarkovsky. Kudus to Sar and Tarkovsky to Minoz. I love those moves. Who would you bench? Dewsbury Hall or Grealish? I would bench Dewsbury Hall. If you believe in theories, it's Mukiele's birthday today, so maybe a hat-trick to celebrate. I don't know if that's how theories work, but potentially. Top 3 captains in order this game week. Salah, Haaland on the same. So, Salah, Haaland, Slash. I don't think there's any way to split them this particular game week. They are great. Next, I would have Saka on his own. Then I would have Bruno, Gabriel, Timber on the same wavelength. Hello, Chimar Jr. Hello, Dream Brother. Hope you're well. You need to be critical and your marketing output to get the focus you want. Exactly, Roland. And when I'm making videos and streams, I do check out some of my analytics. I'm not silly, don't worry. But yeah, again, appreciate the support, lads. Here, this is disgusting and this needs to be addressed. Mark says, my team value is 104 million. How important is team value? Fair play, first off. Especially later in the season. Team value is important. Usually what we can see, and this is how I would look at it. 4 million team value. Let's just say someone who's had poor team value in comparison. So someone with 9.9 team value. Now, it is not apples to oranges, because you have probably half the actual team value due to you getting half the money back. But let's just say, for perspective, that is 4 or 5 million than someone who has 100 million team value. That is the difference between a Saka to a Salah, for example, an Isaac to a Haaland. a... I can't even quantify that. Xhaka to a Saka? So yeah, team value is important, and that is amazing. Fair play. Is the best place to DM you my number on Twitter? Yes, I will get back to you as soon as I can, Medic. Be patient though, and do put in the continent of number is coming from, so it makes it easy when I'm adding you. Would you start Eze or Reinders? Definitely Eze, without a doubt. Drop one from the starting defenders: Timber, Burn, Munoz, and Anderson. Ooh, that is tough. It has to be Anderson though. Guys, do drop in chat what your team value is. I'm interested. Do I start Richards or Xhaka? I will start Richards. Can you dig into Mo Salah captaincy this game week? Again, not much in it for me this game week. That's why. Because there's so little in it, I feel like it's a good opportunity to go against the grain. Again, all it could take is a jammy penalty for Salah to return big, and a jammy assist like we know he can do. We've seen a bit of class from Salah last game week, and we know he can always do that. And I fancy the fixture at Anfield. 101.6 says some Tuz. Tosin will start or transfer him out for Mukiele. I don't think it's worth the transfer, Errol. Surely you have someone who you can play elsewhere if Tosin doesn't play. Would you sacrifice rank to collect free transfers and brag having 5 free transfers? Absolutely not. I would always do what the best is for my rank and the long term. ISO Magic says 101.3. Sean says 102.6. Fair play. When are you planning to use your trips? Okay, I've just got the bench boost left. I'm thinking 15, 16, 17, 18 for my bench boost. João Pedro or Mateta if you have the money. If I had the money, I would go Mateta. Again, I did have the money at one point in time, but I wanted to save my transfer. Play Kudus or João Pedro. I would play Kudus. Home fixture, longer minutes. 101.3 says Iso Magic. That's amazing. Gyökeres last dance. I don't know. I'd hold on to him for next week as well. I would see what happens in that game versus Slavia Prague though. João Pedro or Richards. Tough one. I feel like I would play João Pedro. Which 3 to start? Richards, Anderson, Tarkowski, Senesi, or Semenyo? I would start Richards, Anderson, and Tarkowski. Start Burn or Richards? Tough one. That is a flip of a coin. Should I bench Caicedo or Gakpo to play Iliman in DI? Caicedo. Mahmoud has 99.8, 1.2 in the bank. Fair play. Yeah, this is a great week this is also a good way on how I would view Haaland as a captain every single week. First off, is his fixture much better than the second best captaincy option? And if it is it worth putting the triple captain on him? If it's a week where you would never triple captain him, then he is not the standout that particular week, and there is opportunities elsewhere to be had. And that's exactly what I look at this particular game week. That's not to say Haaland can't score a brace with Bournemouth, of course. But is there that much more in it for Haaland? No, I don't think so. Choi, mate, do you have plans to bring in any United boys? Not particularly. Not in the immediate term. Unless Eze starts to really see reduced minutes. I think in 11 or 12 I could be swayed towards Mbeumo, Bruno, Kuna. Kuna definitely underrated. But as of now, not yet. Take a hit to bring Sarr in for NDI? No, absolutely not. One to bench, VDV, Cucurella, Shrewsbury Hall. Van de Ven. Bournemouth got mauled from an XG standpoint against Palace. City could have a field day. I agree. But, again, not that City aren't. But Palace have been amazing for chances created this season. Do you love tea? And why is your name FPL Choi? Because of my second name. Choi is actually my second name. It's funny. I got a lot of comments on the graduation tweet and I thought it was interesting. But the amount of people who think FPL Choi is my name because cups of tea. It's funny. But it's actually nothing to do that. And Choi is actually tea in over 40 languages. So it probably does mean tea in your language. But no, it's not why it's my username. It's just my second name. Hello, Prefool. Good to see you, my man. Oren says, seeing what Mateta did against Bournemouth makes triple captain very tempting. Yeah, I hear it, but I don't think it's likely versus Bournemouth this time around. Again, that's just me. If that's how you view it, and you think that one game sample size of Mateta getting 4 XG versus Bournemouth is enough to tell you that Haaland is the one, then go for it. I'm actually all for it. Judge says, I'm at 80k and way ahead in my mini leagues. Play safe and Captain Haaland or go with Mbeumo and Gabriel? So, Judge, at this point in the season or later in the season, I would advise you the same. Who do you think is the best captain this game week? Because that's ultimately what it comes down to. If you are 100 points behind or 50 points ahead, your goal is to get the most points, not the amount of different points. Why is Patrick Starr your profile pick? Great question, Honk. So, if we quickly view my profile picture. Sorry, I know I keep getting sidetracked, but lots of great questions. The reason that Patrick Starr is the profile picture is because... I'm after pulling up the wrong thing. In the 22-23 season, when I was second in the world, a lot of people saw what I was doing. I made my Twitter account in Gameweek 8. It gained a lot of traction. As much as there are a lot of lovely messages, there was some load of hate. Reason being is, I started posting in Gameweek 8. People are saying lottery numbers and it was unsustainable. Can't wait to see your 100k or 10 or 5 million in the world. It's a blip for you. Basically, people thought, I was just a manager who's just tweeting and has, nothing to show for it. So that's why I made this my profile picture. It's Patrick Starr, who's basically going against the grain here. The crowd are not happy with what he's doing, and he's doing his own thing regardless. He largely doesn't care what other people are saying. And in the 22-23 season, we were 30 game weeks. We were top 100. We ended up finishing the season 1,839 in the world.
Hi Chai, sell Richards for Munoz and Vincenzo or Krupi, and can you also tell your thoughts on Mbeumo/Gabriel Capitan?
So absolutely brilliant timing from that. Kit has become a channel member. Welcome to a cup of chai. If you do want to become a channel member, do click the join button. Sorry lads, I can't speak. I'm after having too many coffees. And I'm really excited for the game week. Do hit the join button if you want to become a member. And Kit, thank you so much for becoming a channel member, supporting the channel. Do hit the do DM me on Twitter or Instagram. Again, I'm after putting an Instagram link in the stream. If you want to DM me on Instagram, again, I will handle any queries there. If not, send me a message on Twitter if you're not already. And thank you also for all the graduation messages, particularly Kieran, who has made a debut on Gianni's channel. And let's get to the super chat. The second super chat of the channel from Aryan. He says, "Hi Chai, I sell Richards from Nose and bench Enzo or Krupi. And can you tell me your thoughts on Mbeumo/Gabriel captain? Sell Richards from Nose and bench Enzo or Krupi. I would bench Krupi. Richards from Nose, if you have absolutely nothing else to do, I would do it. Otherwise, I'd be more than happy to hold on to Richards. But Nose is by far one of the best assets in the game for sure. Can you tell me your thoughts on Mbeumo/Gabriel captain? I don't love Gabriel as captain this game week. Reason being, as good as he is as a captaincy option, I would not be relying on him from an attacking aspect. And when you look at defenders who I've captained in previous seasons, I've captained Trent 3 times in that season where I was second in the world. I captained Cancelo 2 or 3 times in the year. I finished top 5k. I have no issue with captaining defenders. But the ones I did captain were high attacking threat, home fixtures, and I don't mind it. Like, I don't mind Timber or Gabriel. It's just not as appetizing as I think a Haaland is in this particular game week. The thesis is not particularly out for display. But yeah, here's the link from Instagram. Again, I am planning on making short form content, and do DM me on Instagram if you are interested. And I plan on, I want to make shorts. I want to make TikToks. I want to make reels. Let me know what you think. Bro, back after a long time on your stream. Help me please with Saka captain ahead of Erling for upside. Sure, there's upside, but reduce minutes perhaps. Kieran, if you're in chat, or any Arsenal fans, how do you see Saka, Gabriel and Timber's minutes this game week? I don't want to scaremonger, so I don't want to give you numbers, but I definitely think we could see reduced minutes. Again, that's just me. Congrats, says Victor, on the grad. What do you think about Gyökeres? And I'm conflicted about him. Can't sell Gyökeres ahead of these two fixtures, first off. And thank you for the kind words. Appreciate it. Best captain besides Haaland, Mo Salah. Easy. Semenyo or Reinders? In that case, I'd go with Semenyo. Arsenal will concede? You think so? 56% chance of a clean sheet? I won't be so sure. Alright. Chat, let's do some predictions. I'm going to give you my predictions for this game week. And just let me know if you agree or disagree. That's all I want to know. And I can understand if you don't agree. So, here's what I'm thinking this game week, lads. And again, you might think this because I own the players. But again, I own these players because I think these things. So it works both ways. So just bear with me. First prediction. I can't wait to look back on these and how wrong they were. No one screenshot these and at me, by the way. And I'm not expert. I don't claim to be. I'm just a guy sharing his thoughts. But my first take of the game week is Salah comes back on the menu. And we start having conversations about him. Second, Pedro has a shot on target. Clip him, guys. You know what to do, chat. Now, definitely don't do that. Third, this one's a little one, but Mukiele blank. I think Everton get a result in this game. Kieran says on the Arsenal guys, if 2-3-0 at half time, Saka probably off 60, but you'd expect him to get a return. If 0-0 at half time, probably expect 80 minutes. Gabriel probably 75 plus. Agree. Yeah, game state is important, of course. Why you're not starting Mukiele? I think they concede. And Anderson and Richards are probably just as good at DEFCON if they play. Nothing against Mukiele. He's a good start this week. Yeah, Pedro shoots. 3 Mukiele blank. 4 I'm going with Spurs get some sort of result versus Chelsea. This is hopeful, but I think Frank is being overlooked and Chelsea haven't particularly been breathtaking. And my fifth and final. Sorry, am I after doing 4 or 5? Yeah, my fifth and final take will be. Let me think. Who do I fancy this game with? Let me look at some fixtures. I'm going to go with Max Kilman. Hall. Alright. There are my predictions for the game week. Let me know if you have any in particular predictions that we'll bring them up in chat. And I'm intrigued to see how you guys see this game week going. Sarah scores Mateta. I mean, you wouldn't be surprised, really, Kieran, would you? Xhaka scores, Mukiele hauls. Interesting. Choi, Omul Caragum Dulgadi on Lehers. Of course he can, Kit. Of course. London is blue. Chelsea win, obviously. It's a different story at our stadium. You know, if it was at Stamford Bridge, I'd be saying, yeah, we're getting rolled over at this point in time with how poor we've been. But at our stadium, which we've been really, really poor at, Sorry, I'm after missing that part on Mbuemo, though. Sorry, to go back to your question, Arian. What's in that coffee? Mbuemo, great option, good fixture. Would I captain this week over Salah, Saka, Gabriel, Haaland? No, I won't. Agreed with all until you said Max Kilman. Fair. Don't forget though, guys, we brought in Matty Cash the week he scored. Just saying. People forget about these little things that I do that are not necessarily voodoo, just some takes and me backing my opinion. It's one thing that I love about being about my platform, and what I love if I was watching myself, again, not to be narcissistic, but genuinely, when I tell you guys how I feel about something, I will largely always back it. For example, I'll tell you I like Matty Cash. I'll bring Matty Cash in, and fortunately enough, it might go my way sometimes. Same with Eze. Same with João Pedro. Planning on holding on to João Pedro, hold on to him instead of going with Teta. Planning on going Salah captain. Salah captain. I'm pretty much open book in terms of, you know, my moves, because again, I play with high risk. It's not to discredit anyone. I'm just saying that my style is very, like, you know, transparent, and that's what I like. I wish it was a bit more like this. Like, I wish there were other creators who were, like, you know, more open to taking a bit more risk. I know there's a lot on the line for other people, but whether I have 5 subscribers, 10,000, 100,000, the way I play the game will never change, because I really believe in what I do. And that doesn't mean I'm necessarily a great manager, but how I play is what I believe. Xavi scores today. Kois, I hope you're right, Medic. I really hope you're right. Would you start Anderson or Paqueta? Anderson, without a shadow of a doubt. Cole Palmer hat-trick last season, remember? Cole Palmer hat-trick, yeah, I do remember. Don't get me wrong. First half, we were very good. Second half, Palmer scored 2 penalties, if I'm not mistaken. Fair. Jackson the season before. History backs this. And if I'm not mistaken, we absolutely battered you. And we scored that offside goal where Son slid it across the 6-yard box and Johnson smashed it into the top corner before we got Romero injured, Van de Ven injured. Everyone got injured. Madison injured. But yes, I remember these games. Very, very small margins, Mike. Don't get me wrong, you're not wrong. Chelsea always seem to get the better of us. But these are what I think back of, and I think there's very little in those. This time around, Thomas Frank, lot more pragmatic. Those games where... Oh, and also, going back to that Chelsea game, the last minute, Eric Dyer cracked one into the top corner before he got flagged for offside. Just saying. Small margins. And we battered you with 9 men. Anyway. Sorry. Shout out to Chelsea fans. I'm not trying to hate. I'm just saying that, you know, okay, I do remember these games and you have got the better of us, but Thomas, the Frank engine this time round, with Enzo Maresca, who just, you know, not that you're weak, but, you know, you're one of the youngest sides in the league. Big game for Chelsea. I don't know if you'll be as up for it as much as we will, because the pressure is on for Thomas Frank in our stadium, and the results in our stadium have just not been there. I feel like we're due a big home win. That's all I'm going to say. Anyway, we'll leave it there before we start scrapping in chat. You know, us Spurs and Chelsea fans are never going to agree. Richarlison to Volomati, love that. Or Jean-Philippe Mateta, or João Pedro to Mateta. By the way, Spurs are bad at home. I agree, we're terrible at home. But fortunately, we've been terrible at home for, 9 fixtures this season? Small sample size, new manager. Don't read too much in it. Even on Haaland-Ween. Haaland-Ween is on Sunday, not Saturday, Kieran. It's actually Salah-Ween today, do you know? But yeah, I'm confident on Salah captain. Pedro on Wild with Mateta and Haaland. Sure, don't mind it at all. Tarkowski plus Van de Ven plus Reinders, Cesar plus Anderson plus Richards. Here's another take. We're actually going to put number 6 here. Elliot Anderson arises as a option for the future and starts to be talked about as a option. He's one I've been on for a while, and he's just not had the outcome yet. Gary says, Igor or Thiago, would you go there? Just a purple patch, or if Brentford found the next Wissa? Thiago is already there. You know what? I've actually been really, really impressed from Thiago. Not from an output perspective, but when I watched him versus Liverpool, he looked hard to stop, I have to say. And the way Brentford are setting up, he's going to get chances. And particularly in that West Ham game, chance after chance after chance in a 5-minute spell. On penalties, it makes him a good option. if we didn't have the penalties, it wouldn't be as good an option. Gordon to Mbeumo, is it worth a try? No, absolutely not. I'd be holding on to Gordon. I think you get a standalone vid about the battle at the bridge where Spurs and Chelsea went apeshit. What a game. Unfortunately, the result didn't go our way, but title was off the cards at that point. Let's be realistic. Shame it was Chelsea to bury it. No, bro, not Anderson from Forest. Anderson from Fulham. To answer your question, Oscar, yes is still the answer. Sorry. I love the way you're so disappointed after I got to your question. Yeah, Maresca does struggle sometimes. And, you know, it's going to happen with a young team. They aren't going to gel as quickly as you want them to. What I would say is Estevao is scary, man. He's scary. I wonder, is he going to start? I feel like it is a good game for him. We have 32 minutes until the end of the stream, lads. Do hit the like button and subscribe. Let's get us to, what, 200 likes should be the goal for this stream. Prediction for the United game, Chai. Let me run you through some of my predictions for the game week. I'm going to go Brighton 3-1. Arsenal, I think this will be the week that Arsenal concede. Now, I have an Arsenal asset. Keep this in mind. I'm not saying it because I want them to, well, as much as I do want them to concede, I'm going to say Burnley nick a goal. And the reason I think that is they're going to frustrate Arsenal, and Arsenal might have to lump it all. Because I think it'll actually be quite close. I'm going to say 2-1 Arsenal. Crystal Palace, Brentford. This is a game with goals. I don't see a Crystal Palace clean sheet, I'm not going to lie. 2-2. Fulham Wolves. Again, I see Wolves scoring. 2-1 Fulham. Forest United, I'm going to say this is where the 5 wins in a row unfortunately comes to an end before they play Tottenham. But I'm going to say a draw here. I'm going to say there's a 1-1 draw there. Spurs Chelsea, 2-1 Spurs. Liverpool Villa, 3-0 Liverpool. West Ham Newcastle, I'm going to say 1-1 draw. City Bournemouth, I'm going to say 1-0 City. Sunderland Everton, I'm going to go with a 1-1 draw. Let me know what you thought of that. How many of those you disagree with, other than all of them. Drop one Ekatike, Enzo, or NZI. I could not drop any of those, Rash, unfortunately. Just tuned in, says Sushant. Any news? Nothing new. Let's do a little scroll on the timeline while we're there, though. Again, we don't want to miss anything. But let's scroll together. Pras is locked in. He's going João Pedro, or Jean-Philippe to João Pedro. João Pedro to Jean-Philippe. The JP and JP get me mixed up, man. Very nice team from Pras. He's just off the back of a wildcard 8. Love that. I really do love that. What else we got? Let me like these while I'm here. Late riser. He's locked in. Bad team on paper for Gameweek 10. Agree with those predictions? Yeah. Understand if you don't. Hey, would you start Semenyo or Alderete? For the last 10 minutes, lads, we will be doing the quickfire questions, by the way, if I haven't answered your questions. So stay tuned. Alrighty then. Let me quickly post my team on the timeline, lads. Before I forget. And then we will have a look at some of my potential transfers if I were to do something. And talk about how I'm setting up for Game Week 11, 12 and 13. And then I'll get to your questions, okay? That sounds like a plan. And again, appreciate you guys for tuning in. Let's smash that like button, lads. Let's see if we can get to 200 likes. It'd be much appreciated. So, Game Week 10 is locked. We're going with Salah. Let's do a goat emoji. Or a king emoji, because he is. By the way, if you aren't following me on Twitter, do follow me. We just hit 25k followers. 2 free transfers. Where is a roll emoji? Again, sorry I have to do this on stream, guys. I hope you don't mind. Recycle emoji. And let's do... What else am I thinking? Holding Pedro. Could be stung but can't look past the fixtures. What else am I saying? That's all I'm going to say. Good luck this game week. Let's see some teams below. This is the thought process of a content creator, lads. Very, very exciting, I know. But I'm curious, and do put your team down below. I'll have a look after the stream, I always do. Let's do a little salute emoji. Let's see some teams now. Good luck this game. Okay, happy with that, lads. Alright, that's out of the way. Let's do another little scroll on the timeline to make sure we're not missing anything crucial. And let's get back to some of your questions. Right, so chat, what are we saying? Congrats on the graduation. Thank you, Chess Econ. Dutch has been an awful record against us. 1 win in 18. Jeez, that is crazy. Captain Saka or Bruno? I would be inclined to go Saka. So not good ideas to double up on Arsenal fence? No, it is definitely amazing to double up on the Arsenal fence. Don't get me wrong. Salah DCL to Mateta and Mbeumo / Bruno. I can understand if you want to get rid of Salah, take your points and run. But for me, in game week 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, I will want Mo Salah. So I will not be getting rid of him. So what I was saying was, before, thank you, Mr. Feather. Let's bring up FPL team. And let's have a look at how we look going forward for the near future. So here is my team for game week. What are we in now? Sorry, lads, I can't think. My team for game week 10. Sorry, I just had a moment. Again, I'm not going to be doing anything. Let me quickly put in Sarr for Marquis and put in Anderson for Roden. Some of you might say that is bench boostable. I think a better week will arise. Game week 11 then, how are we looking? Game week 11, I think I do fancy my team. First off, what's his name is coming back? Liam Delap is going to be back. What don't I like about this team? Of course, I've got Manchester City versus Liverpool at home. Very hard game. In this particular game week, I think I'll be captaining Erling Haaland. Reason being, something in this game for City. I think City could see a result in this game, and also Haaland not scoring against Liverpool at Anfield yet in his Premier League career, so he'll be hungry. João Pedro and Enzo, I think this is some really high upside game week for Chelsea, is why I'm holding on to him. If you look at my defence, I mean, looks optimal. Brentford away, Everton away, Sunderland away in the Arsenal guys. And this will hopefully be my last week in Eze. Hope you can see this, guys, by the way, and let me know what you think. But this is just my thought process. Hoping that I can roll again next week. I know it seems very boring. Fortunately, my team is set up well after Wildcard 8. And then, this is where the real business from my team starts to happen. And things look good. So, in game week 12, I've got the best captain for game week 12. First off, regardless of what happens in this game, in City or this week with Villa, I have the best captain in game week 12, and I'm hoping I'm not changing my mind, and I'm going to be stubborn. I'm saying that now. Said the same on Wildcard 8. I was going to captain Salah versus United at home, and captain him the next game week versus Brentford. When the fixtures are there for a lethal player like Salah, and Liverpool are such a good attack and he's getting the minutes, I can't look past it. I've got double Chelsea, which would be differential at this point in the season with João Pedro and Enzo. And this is why I just can't get rid of Pedro just yet. Sure, equally as good for the likes of a Sarr and a Mateta, of course, if you have him. But this will be the week I'll be looking to move on the likes of Neze. So who, you might ask? And again, this is going to be subject to change, but I think it is good to look at. So if you're asking me now, what moves would I make in this particular game week? So I would definitely. So this is the game week after the international break, by the way. So it is between 11 and 12 the international break. So we'll have plenty of time. We'll likely have plenty of injuries to talk about as well. I will be doing Eze out, I think, regardless. Not because he plays against Tottenham, but because the fixtures kind of trail off and Odegaard is going to be back. Kai Havertz is going to be back. Martinelli might be back. So just too many minutes reducers for Eze for me. looking at the fixtures, who could I go to? Who is a good run of fixtures from Game Week 12 onwards? Well, we have the likes of Palace, which I already have. What I look at is the obvious one, who I didn't opt for in Wildcard 8, Antoine Semenyo, who plays against West Ham at home in this game week. Now, I am 0.4 short to do that right now, but it won't be the only move I'll be making this particular game week. The next player that will be going for me is Mohamed Kudus. And for me, who is starting to pick up a bit of confidence and form, are Villa. Rodgers is starting to be integrated back in properly. And not that he's an amazing option, but a player like Rodgers around that price point, if not Rodgers, the other player I will be looking at is potentially Elliot Anderson. Now, the reason for that is, again, I still have a structure where I have Mo Salah. And sorry, for anyone who's just joining, this is my projected plans come game week 12. Again, you might look at this game and go, that is a useless fixture for Elliot Anderson. You're absolutely right. I'm more than happy to play forward to back and 0.9 million in the bank. For me, that's a very, very strong team going into game week 12 and very differential. A lot of people won't have that. Going into game week 13, then I have Mo Salah at West Ham, Semenyo with Sunderland, Elliot Anderson with Brighton at home, which I think would be good for DEFCON. And when Sean Dyche's team start clicking, he might start to produce better XGI numbers. And I have 0.9 in the bank. And this is where I'll be looking to be a bit more aggressive. I might move on from the Arsenal assets. I will probably go to potentially a Jean-Philippe Mateta. Let's just say we go to Mateta because that's obvious. Hoping he doesn't hurt me too much in the meantime. And I'd also like to do Enzo out. Not that I have to do it in this particular game week, but I feel like what I would do is something like Reinders. I know right now it probably doesn't look great. Oh, sorry. I'm absolutely after ruining that. Anyway, something like that. Along those lines. So yeah, there are some of my thoughts going into it. Would you hop off Saka for game week 12? I don't think so, Maximilian. He's still a great option. Mint is a better pick than Anderson. Two different price points. 5.3 versus 6 million. It's like the equivalent of comparing a Sar to Menta, I guess. Kudus to Minta this game week for game or in game week 12. I'm happy to hold on to Kudus for the time being. So let's answer some of your questions with 20 minutes remaining, lads. Get your questions in and do hit the like button. Let's see if we can smash 200 likes on this. Captain Eze, I don't love it, Robert. Particularly because I think there is a good chance he sees reduced minutes. Start Semenyo or Reinders? I would be starting Semenyo in that case due to the minutes. That's just me though. Start 2 of Caicedo, Reinders, Anderson, Mukiele. I think I would be inclined to play Anderson this game week. And also Reinders. It's hard to bench Reinders this game week. Home game. Feel like it's be the one he could return. Even if it's just an assist. Would you start Caicedo or Semenyo this week? In that case, I'd start Semenyo. Mukiele, well, for me, it's just Semenyo's roost of points, you know. He can always come up with something in open play, and he's on penalties, of course. Whereas Caicedo, I don't think he's likely to get something from open play other than DEFCON. Saka is going to be a good option for the remainder of the season, providing he can stay fit. What do you think, Choi? Well, I can't tell you to go Saka over Haaland and Salah when I'm going Salah over both Haaland and Saka. Start Semenyo or Reinders? That's a coin flip, honestly. I think there are too many good fixture runs from Game Week 12. Hard decisions will be made, absolutely. And we'll have so many fixtures to be able to play around with it. Saka in for Foden, Royce or Saka? Saka in for Foden, Royce or Saka? Saka in for Foden, yes. Royce or Saka? Saka, of course. Captain Saka or Bruno? They're even for me this game week. I wouldn't mind captain either of them. I prefer Haaland though. Van der Ven or Reinders? What would you do with Foden? Got one free transfer, 8.5 to spend. I already have Semenyo, Enzo and Ndiaye. 8.5 million to spend. Oh, sorry, it's not in the bank. It's 8.5 million overall. What would I do? Maybe a Brian and Buemo. That would be appetizing for sure. No worries. Chats. Sport. Who to start between Paqueta and King, or take a -4 and place Paqueta with Enzo? I would start Paqueta. Choi Labau or King? I would play King, I would say. It's a tough one though. Basmati or Jasmine Royce? Jasmine. Volnamari in for Thiago? I'll be more than happy to hold on to Thiago. But yeah, he's great. Con, hello Con. How are you? And Nova says Kudus, Enzo, Caicedo or Mukiele. Start 2. Kudus and Enzo for sure. Bench 1 of Paqueta, João Pedro, Mukiele, Richards. In that situation, I would be benching Mukiele. João Pedro or Caicedo? João Pedro or Semenyo? Sorry, I'm looking at that wrong. Probably Semenyo. I mean, 70 minutes left, Choi. Still time to get captaincy on the big Norwegian robot. Nah, no chance. FPL NX says, hello FPL NX, long time no see. Says, how are you? Any cheap mids 1 week punts? How cheap we talking? Elliot Anderson is the 1 week punt for me. Again, I wouldn't be expecting any massive returns, but I think if you had to get onto someone who's really cheap, it would be him. I'm good though. Ange Ball or Frank Ball? From an attacking point of view, Ange Ball. From a defensive point of view, Frank Ball all day. We look really solid. Just poor going forward. If you could have the solid point of view from Frank and the pragmatism, be great. And the attacking aspect of Ange Ball, we'd be the best team in the world. Choi, I still have my wildcard, but my team is looking decent overall. Hello, Joven, by the way. Just wish I had more Arsenal players now, but when do you think is a good time to wildcard? I would say 13 would be an optimal time to wildcard if you still have it. Really depends on your own team though. Timber Captain, don't love that. I still have a feeling Pedro will haul. I have a feeling Pedro has a chance to haul for sure, especially against Tottenham. We've been one of those teams where you know we're conceding chances for sure. Welbeck or Semenyo this week? I'll be going Welbeck all day. To bring in though is Semenyo. Gabriel Captain again, don't love it. Don't love it. Kois, we're going to win today. I hope so. I hope you're right. I am different guy, Mr. Choi. João Pedro or Caicedo? João Pedro. João. Again, it's more so next week's fixture where I really want João Pedro. Tosin to Anderson or start Senesi and Goodmanson? I think in that case I would just start Senesi. Do you recommend to go with Volnamari captain? I don't. Bench Xhaka or Pedro? Xhaka. Senesi or Chow to bring in till game week 16. Ooh, long term Senesi. Tosin to Anderson or start Senesi Goodmanson? Yes, start Senesi. Caicedo or Semenyo to start? Semenyo. Very little in it though, for what it's worth. Try Jacob Murphy captain this week. Don't love that. Interesting though. He's picked up decent numbers. Mukiele Semenyo or Mukiele Xhaka or Semenyo Xhaka? Semenyo Xhaka. Start Mukiele or Enzo? Enzo. Do you recommend to go Volmare? No, not captain. -8 for stack to Saka and Reinders to Mbeumo. Worth it? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Too much for me. Alright, let's do a little refresh on the timeline. 14 minutes until the deadline, lads. Get your dilemmas in and do hit the like button and subscribe if you aren't already. Let me know what the like button is currently on. Let's see if we can get to 200 likes. Prem says, what do you think about Pino for Crystal Palace? Decent option. Again, I think it's still a bit too early. I want to see a bit more for me to go there. And Sarah and Mateta kind of outshine. How about Mbeumo captain? Also don't love that. John Long says, afternoon Choi. How are you, John? Bench Enzo or Bowen? That is a tough one. I wouldn't like to bench either of them, but if I had to choose, I would bench probably Bowen. Again, that's really, really close though. Bowen can always come up with something, and if they are going to do something, it's going to be true Bowen. What is the best X account to get early team leaks? The best X account for early team leaks is I actually don't know nowadays. Nowadays we're quite scarce. We usually get random journalists, to be honest. I don't think there is the best one anymore. Back in the day it was of course the City guys, but they are kind of gone. For City news, it's Main Road, but they've been even scarce recently. Let's do a little scroll on the timeline before we do our quick fire last 10 minutes. See if we can get any interesting news. And thank you for the 170 who are still in here joining us for another amazing stream. Again, I will be keeping an eye on the timeline. Saliba, bro. Agart or not? I don't know what Agart means. Saliba, I don't fancy Saliba. Virgil van Dijk to Anderson or Kudus to Sarr. I would hold Virgil van Dijk and Kudus to Sarr. Do I bench Minter or Iliman and Ndiaye? Ooh, I would be benching neither of them. Best of luck this week, says Sean. Thank you, Sean. Enzo, Ndiaye and Lacroix. Bench one. I'll be benching Enzo. Should I start Anderson or Cucurella? I would start Anderson. Rodon or Mukiele? Mukiele. I see no world in which Brighton don't score in this game. I'd be very, very surprised. Love the stream, Choi, says Tig. Thank you, Tig. Start Bowen or Minta. Minta. Play or not Saliba? I would probably try play him. I don't know his fitness or if he's projected to start or not. Good luck, chat, says Elliot. What transfers did you make this week? No transfers made this week. Kudus or Ndiaye to start? Kudus. No, I would start Ndiaye because of penalties. Enzo or Bowen. Enzo. Bench Anderson, Reinders or Caicedo? I'd be benching Caicedo. Should I bring in Mbeumo for Semenyo? No. Dango or Mukiele? Always the attacker in my eyes. Dango. Kudus to Sarr or Van de Ven to Anderson? Depends on how you view Spurs. I'm not going to answer that for you. Van de Ven to Anderson, probably. What do you think about Timber captain? Okay. Don't love it. Don't hate it. Why are you starting Anderson over Mukiele? I think Anderson has a better fixture, without a doubt. Pedro or Bowen? Pedro. So for the last time, guys, I'm going to invite you to follow the Instagram account. I'm planning on making short form content in the near future, so do follow. If I get enough followers, I will definitely do it, because then I'll have a core base to start making videos from. Should I start Xhaka over Richards since I already own Manoz? Should I start Xhaka over Richards since I already own Manoz? No, I don't think so. I would definitely start Richards also. Hello all, I have 2 free transfers left. I use one now. How much will I have next week? What? You will still have 2 free transfers next week if you use one this week. Bench one of Caicedo / Reinders. I would bench Caicedo. I've benched Kudus and Diaz to start Tete and Raul. That is bold, Abdi. I hope it goes your way. Kevin says Haaland, Hall and Paqueta or Salah captain and Reinders. I cannot tell you to captain someone else other than the person I'm captain, or else it would completely contradict myself. So Salah and Reinders. Shalaba or Dallo. Toast on free hit first half of the season. Is it essential to use it? I would wait to see if we get more information on Crystal Palace. Would you start Richards or Bowen? I would have to start Bowen for what it's worth. Good luck this week, Chai, and everyone loved the channel. Thank you so much. Only watch you and Johnny means a lot, man. Thank you, Kevin. And also, thank you for subscribing. What is that? 302, if I'm saying that right. Caicedo or Grealish to start? Grealish. Bro, you captain Salah? Yes, I am. I'm certain. Good luck, brother, says Abdi. Thank you. Start Caicedo, Reinders or Kudus. Mukiele or Paqueta? That is tough. Probably Mukiele. Paqueta's been poor. Who to start? Evan Nilsson or Dewsbury Hall? Dewsbury Hall. Kudus to Mbeumo and João Pedro to Mark Guy. No, I don't think I would do that, David. What do you think about Gordon? Great option. Hold on to him. Messi or Ronaldo? Messi. Semenyo or Minta? Minta, this particular game, with better value in my eyes until he has that West Ham at home fixture. Lacroix, Van de Ven, Gyökeres to Munoz, Anderson, Mateta -4. Difficult to get rid of all of those. I would be happy to hold on to him. Deadpool caught him. Kevin says, love the content. Thank you. Richards or Anderson? I mean, it's a flip of a coin. They're both great. I really wouldn't mind going either of those. Do hit the like button, lads. Almost on 200 likes. Again, appreciate it, lads. Kudos or rounders to start. Kudos, for sure. Hi, Jay, please help. Start Chow or Semenyo? Semenyo. Start Shalaba or Xhaka? Xhaka. Alright, let's do a little scroll on the timeline before I continue to answer your questions. See if we can get anything interesting. Should I be patient with Kudus? Yes, you should. Kudus or runners? Kudus. Gabriel or Haaland captain? Haaland. Doesn't look like we're going to get anything, lads, in terms of leaks. Anderson, Richards, or Mukiele. Anderson and Richards, either of the two. Jack Gower with the same picture as Tom Headley with the Wigan emblem. He says Paqueta or Mukiele. Who would you start? Mukiele. Again, I'm just going to frantically refresh in case we do get anything. I don't think so, though. Wesley says he loves content. Thank you, Wesley. Appreciate it. JP, Diouf, and DCL to Mateta, Guy, and Minoz. Joe Pedro, Diouf, and DCL to Mateta, Guy, and Minoz. Yes is the answer, but only if Guy is going to be like an 8 attacker and you're not going to need him. Okay. We're going to leave the timeline there. Let me answer your questions for the remainder of the stream. So get your questions in, lads. Quick fire. Enjoy or sir. This game we can enjoy. Semenyo or Thiago? Thiago. Tarkovsky or Alderete? Tarkovsky. Semenyo or Mukiele? Semenyo. Morris asks, Paqueta or Dewsbury Hall? That is a flip of a coin. I'm going to go Paqueta for the DEFCON. Are you sure Richards over Mukiele? Sunderland are only conceding 2 at home so far. Again, it's just a particular game. It's not anything based on what's already happened. I'm happy to play Anderson and Richards. Be lucky, Choi. Thank you, Davis. Diouf or Chalaba? Diouf. Or do I fancy Diouf? Chalaba, sorry. Nico Williams, Reinders. Genesis to start? Roynildo? That is a mad selection of 3, Thomas. What game are you playing? I have to go Reynildo. Van de Ven or Mukiele? Mukiele. Thanks, I'm going to go with Mukiele. Nice one. Mateta in for João Pedro? Yes, if you can, but I'm happy to hold on to João Pedro. Bowen or Senesi? Bowen to start. Semenyo, Enjoy, Minta, bench 1. Semenyo. Thiago or Enzo? Enzo. Should I sell Bruno for Sarr? Tracy asks. No. Choi, should I start DCL over Paqueta? Yes. Who do you think will get relegated this season? Wolves, Burnley. They're my certainties. I'm hoping West Ham. Sorry, any West Ham fans. Frank says, bench 1 of Semenyo, Enzo, and Diaz, Sarr, Mateta, Voldemade. Man, you guys have some serious benches. I would be benching, in that case, Enzo. Tough, though. Wesley says, the DCL, João Pedro, and Diouf to Mateta, Guy, Munoz was for a -4, by the way. Thanks, bro. -4 for that. That is tough, man. But I think I still would do it. Congratulations on the graduation. Thank you, Ebenezer. Which one to play? Anderson, Mukiele, KDH. I would play Anderson, Paqueta, or DCL. DCL. Gyökeres is benched. Where are you seeing that? If you're seeing that at me, I don't think I'm confident in that, though, because I've not seen anything. JP, the next red card for Chelsea. Imagine. Again, Salah, you're killing it, King. Thank you. Kind words. Thoughts on Voldemade, captain. Don't love it, don't hate it. Falls in that category. Great form, good asset. Will Eze start? Roger, I'm hoping so. If he does, I think I'm on for a good game week. Put it that way. By the way, if you're wondering why I'm frantically refreshing the timeline, trying to see if we're going to get a leak. 3 minutes into the deadline, lads. Get locked in. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Let's see if we can hit 200 likes. Almost there, lads. And lastly, for the last time, follow the Instagram account. I'm planning to make some content on there, whether it's reels or I'm actually not sure what I want to do. Is Gyökeres worth a captaincy? Definitely worth a look. Would I fancy him over Haaland? No. Start one of Roden or Longstaff. I would probably go Roden for the Defcon. Cheo to score a bullet header. Unlikely. Enzo to Sar for a -4 hit. Absolutely not. Start Sanchez or Dubravka. Sanchez. Kudus, Neto or Bruno G. Chai. Kudus. Thanks for all the help, Chai. Let's get it. No worries, Rash. Lacroix and Gyökeres to Minoz Mateta. Oh, I do like those moves, but I wouldn't do it this week or the next. Play Reinders or Senesi, bro. Reinders. Dewsbury Hall or Stack. Dewsbury Hall. King or Diouf? King. Start Sanchez or Bravka. Sanchez. Start Richards or Anderson. Flip of a coin. Depends what fixture you fancy. I would play Anderson. Start Enzo or Xavi. Xavi. You have to back Spurs in that game. Joven. I think anything could happen in this game for Enzo, Xavi, Kudus, Estevao. It could be. I think it will be a game with goals. Anderson or Enzo. Anderson. Play Matty Cash. No, I don't think so. I fancy Liverpool clean sheet this week. David says Kudus, Enzo or João Pedro to start. Kudus, Enzo, João Pedro to start. Kudus. Play the minutes. João Pedro minutes you can't be certain on whether or not he's gonna get more than 75. Senesi or Van de Ven? Senesi for the Defcon. 2 minutes until the deadline, lads. Get locked in if you aren't already. I'm locked in. Get your questions. Van de Ven for Calafiori were a -4? Absolutely not. Not a -4. 1 minute chat. Exactly, Con. Tell him. We're getting there. King or Mukiele? King. Ooh, Mukiele. Sorry. Spoke too soon there, Trilu. Start Roden or Shalaba? I'm playing Kudus, please. I would play Roden for the Defcon. And decent. I think both concede. So I would go Roden because he's better for Defcon. Shalaba, I'm probably looking to get rid of him because how expensive he is. Virgil or Pedro captain? What? Virgil, I guess. Rahul, that's a close one. 30 seconds, lads. Or in and around 30 seconds anyway. Mukiele or Van de Ven? Mukiele all day. Thank you, Jonathan. Very nice words. Okay, there it is, lads. The stream is over. I'm sure I've answered almost every single permutation of question. Again, if you did like the stream and you want to see more of me, hit the like button and subscribe, lads. Best of luck this game week. Again, I've gone against the grain with Salah captaincy. Hopefully, it can swing my way once again. Best of luck this game week. Do send in your team and follow me on Twitter to see how my game week goes. Best of luck here in chat. I hope you enjoyed this stream. Been a very enjoyable stream as usual. The next stream is, of course, the last one before the international break. So keep an eye out. Hopefully, we can get more green arrows. I'm going to leave it there, lads. And as usual, I will see you in the next.